this is just another frontier in something that is happening all over the country. But the point that the UVA president made in that letter, that so many people are just collateral damage in a crusade against three letters, DEI. That's the reality that we're living in.
Well, look, there's more to the story. One is that the university voted to get rid of the DEI programming, and apparently this guy just renamed it and gave it other names and other acronyms and other euphemisms, and so he tried to get it to identify as something else, but it was still DEI, so he kind of went around, I think, what the school was wanting to do. And I don't really shed any tears for this. I think the country doesn't want this. I think it's bad for higher education. I think it's bad for corporations, and I think it's time for us to move past trying to divide ourselves up the way they have done on these university campuses and embrace everybody and equal opportunity for everybody.
It's hard to embrace everyone when you want to erase people's histories, when you want to make it easier, when you want to make it easier for folks to be discriminated against, when you want to make it harder for people to be admitted to schools. The reason why the school would not have voted to remove DEI if Donald Trump didn't have the backlash on DEI. So it's not like the school wanted to. There's some a cause and effect here. I think that the president is taking one for the team, and I think that he is actually being the leader by saying, I don't want people to lose their jobs, unlike what this administration did by cutting workforce in the federal government. I think that people don't really understand what DEI is, and I think that is the problem. But DEI has made this country great, and it will continue to make it great. And there will be backlash from this. The pendulum continues to swing, and I think this is an overreach, and going into higher education institutions is not going to stop there. It's going to go into school districts, and we just saw a Supreme Court case today on LGBTQ.
There is a future world in which a Democratic president uses the power of the presidency to threaten private institutions, public institutions who don't do what they want them to do.
What do you mean
that is going to happen?
That was the past.
Okay,
Joe Biden's administration already did that.
Future past. You didn't like it when it happened.
But
then.
it was
but
wrong,
you like
and it was
now.
bad for business and bad for education.
Abby, I was thinking about this. UVA was founded by Thomas Jefferson, right? The man who helped to lead our country away from tyranny, a man who believed in states' rights, who did not want a king to tell us how to live. And now here we have this bizarre irony of the American president acting like a king, telling a state-level institution who should and should not be leading it and what they should be teaching in it. This is sort of the modern-day form of tyranny against our educational institutions. And I think that we need to really protect our educational institutions as well. I'm very concerned. As a Jewish American, I'm also very concerned about arguments like DEI or anti-Semitism being used not to oppose those issues that they're concerned about, but to use it to blow up higher education and schools that really educate all of our country and make our society more whole. And this is just one more example. Thomas Jefferson, again, I'll say it, must really be rolling around in his grave.
You can't be for equality and all of us coming together when E is about T and DEI. I'm laughing here because
it's two different words.
No, it's equity. I know it's
equity
and equality, but they mean similar things in terms of choosing from diverse pools, including people, and having.
I disagree.
What in your mind? What's the difference between equality and equity, and which one is better for you?
Great question. Equality to me is equal opportunity. Equity is trying to guarantee outcomes, and those are two different.
That's a nuanced conversation that you guys don't want to have.
But I also think that is your personal definition of it. That is not.
Well, you asked me my opinion.
I know, but I'm saying my point is that to people who support DEI, equity means exactly what you just described as equality. And in fact, they don't use the word equality because not everybody is exactly the same. So how are you going to make two individuals who are actually different equal? You just want them to have equitable opportunities. So in a way, it feels like you have the definitions kind of reversed.
Well, I think also the DEI regimes have been used to discriminate against other kinds of people. I mean, Asian students, for instance, were discriminated against broadly in this.
I think you're conflating affirmative action with DEI,
but we also know that once the Supreme Court ruled that Asian student admissions have actually gone down in Ivy League schools. But I will say, to bring up Thomas Jefferson, there's also an interesting part to his story as well. Thomas Jefferson also had children with a slave, Sally Hemings. And so in the world where we want to erase DEI and we want to erase people's history, what is the story that UVA can actually be taught? Can Sally Hemings be taught? Is that book removed? The family of Sally Hemings, we didn't even know about Sally Hemings until I was alive. on the Oprah show it came out on, right? So the Sally Hemings family and the Jefferson family had two different lifestyles, right? And we would say that in a world with equity, that should there be some reciprocity for the mistress of Thomas Jefferson, who most likely probably was not a slave by choice? I mean, these are the nuanced conversations that when we just want to do a blanket wipe out, those things get erased.
There's a difference. Again, DEI is a nuanced conversation you guys don't want to have, because it's not about, look at the NFL, for example, with the Rooney Rule. It's not about forcing people to interview those candidates. It's that those candidates didn't have an opportunity to be seen to get that interview. That's what it's about. But you guys love to shorten things. MAGA, DEI, you put it on hats and T-shirts. Everyone feeds into it, and they think it's this great boogeyman. You guys done a phenomenal job with it, I got to be honest with you. But that's not what it's about. We can have the nuanced conversation about what diversity and equity and inclusion is supposed to accomplish, whether it be in the workforce, hiring practices.
Right,
but we're not having that because we can't have it.
We do have to leave it here.
People just are tired of being divided by race, and they just want people
We're
to
not
be able
trying
to
to divide
rise
our
by
race.
their
We're trying
own
to give
talent and their own
people
hard work.
inclusion. The I
Is it possible that most
including.
Americans would rather be judged on their hard work, talent, and their own character and their own achievements,
actually
as
true,
opposed
we
to
would.
in
We would.
identity politics?
We would.
Yes, that's what people have
We
rejected.
would. How about you let us?
Right.
I
That's the
think you
thing.
guys should
We would.
continue to run the Democratic Party and the left purely on
I don't-
identity
I'm not
politics. It is
part of
working
the Democratic.
swimmingly
I'm not
for
part
you.
of
It
it.
There's
is
a lot of
working
identity
swimmingly.
politics
Politics on
happening
your
on
side.
the
Yeah,
right.
I'm not part of
We got to acknowledge that.